Hi everyone, it's Miranda with Multiplicity Crafts, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of Bible journaling, and I'm going to be journaling in the book of Proverbs, and this is chapter 28, and there was a lot of verses in here that I felt I could Bible journal on, so I'm going to just go ahead and make my Bible journal art, I guess you could say, and then after that I'll decide which verse because there's so many and it's such a versatile book. So what I'm going to be doing today is actually Bible journaling with napkins. So I have my clear gesso, and this is what is going to be basically the glue that holds the napkin on and seals the napkin down. And also I have a sponge brush, or you could use, you can even use your fingers if you need to, but that may not be the best idea. You could wear gloves, I suppose. And this is just what I use. You could use a paintbrush or anything else. And then finally, you're going to need some scissors. I just like these Cutter Bee scissors because they're nice and sharp on the point. And let's see, my Bible journaling napkins I'm going to be using. I've got a variety of some that I've been given in different swaps and that I've just collected. So this one, I've actually used this one before on another entry, so I don't think I'm going to use that one. This one's really pretty. It kind of lends itself to like a fall color palette, so that one I'm going to keep for another page. This one is really, really pretty. It's got a lot of almost watercolor effect flowers on that one. This one's got the butterflies and the pretty background, and then this one, of course, has the larger butterfly, larger flowers. So I'm kind of just winging it. This one I've got two of, so that's always good because I am a little bit accident prone, so it's good to have a backup. So I think for this particular entry, I'm going to probably go with one of these butterfly theme napkins. Although this one is awfully pretty, I think I'm going to save this one for another entry. This one, I would almost want to use the background with the writing and the text and everything, so I'm going to save this one, and I think I'm going to go with this one. This one's the winner for today. Okay, so to begin, I'm going to be using this big butterfly and probably this smaller one. So what you want to do is just open up your napkin and separate the plies of the napkin. And you might have seen this done before, but for those who haven't, I thought this would be an interesting little thing for you to see how you can use this in your Bible journaling. You can also use this on card making and different things of that nature. Now you got to try to pull these two little plies apart, and that is the hardest part. It can take you upwards of 20 years or so to get this apart, but once you get it apart, you will rejoice greatly. Okay, so there we go. Got it started. So you just want to pull this apart so it's just the one single ply. It's a lot thinner and it works better. Now when you open this up, there's several butterflies here we can pick from. So if we do make a little bit of a mistake, we've got extras, which is always great. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut out this butterfly right here, this large butterfly, and I'm probably going to use a smaller one as well just to kind of accent. So I'm going to cut this away, and I'll cut it, of course, nicer than this. I'm just getting it cut away from the larger part of the napkin. And so there's the large one, and then we're going to do this little guy here too. So that's going to be the little buddy to the larger butterfly there. And so anyway, once I get this cut out, I will show you how we're doing this. And again, like I say, I like to use the little, oh Lord, look, I just ripped off his little butterfly tail. That's all right. I'll just make this, did I just call that a tail? Well, the little tail to his wing. I was trying to be quick and I just ripped it, and yeah, that's crafting with Miranda. Welcome to that. So anyway, Let me go ahead and just trim this butterfly out. It's fine. He don't necessarily need that little appendage on the end of his tail. So, and you don't have to do this exactly perfectly, because thank goodness this napkin is a very similar color to the background of my Bible journal page. How my pages, are kind of this off-white color. Well, that's the color of this napkin, so we don't have to make the background cut so precise. So that is a big plus for me. So I'm going to cut this out using caution, but not being too particular about it. And since the background of this napkin is the color, I can go ahead and leave his little antenna in. So that's good. I don't have to cut those off. And there's the little butterfly. Now, I think I'm gonna, I might want to do this other side. Okay, so I might want to lay him kind of at an angle on my page, just to give it a little bit of character here. I don't really want to cover up my text, but I think I can arrange him probably a little bit better once my bigger butterfly is on there. So here's the bigger one, and I'm going to try to leave his little, what do they call it, little appendages on his wings, the bottom there. I don't even know. I guess it's just part of their wing. So I'm going to leave that on there, and on this bigger one, since I didn't accidentally rip that one away. You gotta be careful if you laugh or talk, it'll blow your butterflies. They're very delicate, by the way. So this butterfly, he can go, since I don't want to cover my text, I'm gonna have him go somewhat off of the page and just almost be like, maybe something like this. And then where it'll just be half. And then this little smaller one I'll have probably somewhere at the bottom, and then do my journaling through here. I think that's the way I'm going to do it. So this is the part you've all been waiting for, right? You didn't want to sit there and watch me cut out a butterfly napkin. What? Are you serious? Yeah. We're to the part that we want to get to now. So let's move these little butterflies off of the page for now. And I'm going to just use this gesso again. I'm using the clear gesso for this particular project. And so, let's see, how do I want to do this? This is kind of a big brush for this small little, I think I can fit it in there. And I'm just going to add a really thin layer. You don't need anything very thick. Before I start gessoing that, I'm going to put a piece of just like plain copy. I think something just fell on the floor. Plain copy, printer, paper, whatever you want to call it, behind. I think I'm going to use that behind here just so I don't make a big mess. Okay, and then I'm just going to very, very lightly brush this clear gesso on. And you don't need a whole lot, just enough to wet the page, basically, make the page sticky enough and give you a nice even coverage. That looks pretty good. And then while that's still wet, it'll stay wet a little while, so you've got some time. Let's go ahead and position our butterflies. Let's see here. I think I'm gonna go like this, maybe. I kind of changed the angle of that, but basically kind of what we had already laid out. And then I'll lay this one right here. Now, once these are on, you want to be very careful about touching too much, because your fingers are going to start getting sticky and you're going to start pulling it up. So, the least amount of touching you can do, the better, but you do want to make sure it's pressed down really well, because I tend to be accident prone, which is why I heavily edit most of my videos. So, but this one we're just winging it. Get it? Butterfly, wing it. Can't help myself. Mom joke, right? All right, so now that we have those down, I'm going to go ahead and let this page dry just a little bit. You don't have to let it dry all the way, but just a little bit. When your page is drying, just be sure that your gesso is not sticking to this page behind here. So I like to kind of move it around to make sure of that. And once this is dry, I will meet you on the flip side. Okay, so we're back like 5 seconds later. I'm impatient and this isn't quite dry yet, but it's drier. I fanned it, you know, and did what I did, but it should be fine. So it's dry enough to go ahead and go on with the next step. So don't worry about this excess butterfly right here. We'll take care of that in a moment. So we're going to go back in with that same brush that we just had, this little sponge brush, and I'm going to get just a little bit more of this clear gesso. Now, this part is so scary because you can rip this napkin like so easily. So we're not going to do a swiping motion like we did before. We're going to do more of just dabbing around the edges. At least that's the way I do it. So I just like to get a little bit on the edge and just kind of dab it down. And this is, in essence, almost like you would be gluing it down. Don't worry if it leaves like a little white blob or whatever. This is clear gesso, so it will dry clear. So don't worry about that at this time. And don't worry about it at any time, really, because I think it'll be fine. Now, once you get that, you do want to go over the entire napkin with the gesso to seal everything down and make it all look uniform. But I'm scared. Okay. Well, hang on. Let me get the edges of this one down. Let me get the edges of the smaller one down too. And that way I'll know that at least the edges are sealed. So, am I in frame? There we go. So I'm not gonna, you know, completely just tear up the edges if I were to, you know, swipe over it. And at least the edges will be sealed down, which is what we want to do first. So that's pretty good. Now, I would actually get more, instead of it being too dry or too wet, you don't want to put a big blob on there and then have to keep spreading it, because then that's going to be more passes. But then you don't want it too thin either, because then you're going to have to do more passes to make up. So I don't know. There's not really a science to it. Just, you know, maybe me that much, right? On your brush, and just do like the lightest motion over the butterfly. Sorry, I'm not I'm not talking while I'm doing this because I'm like, okay, I did it. Okay, I think that one's good. And then on this top one, here we go. Oh, help me, Lord. Here we go. Okay, good. Very gently, 2 hairs and some air, as Bob Ross would say. That's when he was using a paintbrush, of course. He was talking about the bristles, you know, 2 hairs of the bristle and some air, just a light touch. Okay, so there you have it. Okay. Whew. Crisis averted. We made it without ripping up the napkin. Okay, so I actually am going to let this dry before I go to the next step. Okay, so does an almost dry still count as me letting it dry? I think so. We're going to give me credit for that. So we're going to go on to this next step, and basically we're just going to cut this excess away. You can see there on the back side where, you know, it would be easier to cut from back there, so you can see exactly, you know, right there where you want to cut. Sometimes when I have this overhang or whatever you want to call it, I like to kind of crease it like where I'm going to cut, like that, and then cut it. I don't know, it just kind of gives me, I don't know if you probably can't really see real well, but it just gives me a little line there to cut. I don't know. It may be unnecessary, but it just tends to help me because I'm not the best straight line cutter. All right, so I'm going to angle this a little bit. I'm going to take this extra paper out. Okay, so you can see here that I've cut the excess away. and it's still almost a little bit jaggedy. Jaggedy, is that a word? It is from my vocabulary. You can just kind of smooth the edge of it while your gesso's still a little bit wet. I got a little bit of gesso on the edge of my thumb, and I'm just kind of real gently smoothing that. And that way it lays it down and it's not jagged, but you're not having to go in and try to cut little microscopic pieces off of the edge. And you can always refine it once it's fully dry, but that I would say is pretty good. So let's take a look here. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so once this is fully dry, now not Miranda dry, where I say it's dry, but it's not. No, once this is fully dry, fully dry, you can go in with any colors of micron or any, any colors of micron or any, of micron pens or anything of that nature. You can go in with colored pencils, and you can even write on top of this napkin where you've, like I think I had one Bible journaling page that I did before where I took a pen and I outlined the napkin where I cut the napkin. You can do that. If you have a white gel pen, you can go in and add accents with a white gel pen, and just anything like colored pencil. You can do colored pencil on here. So the sky's the limit, and I left myself a little space here to journal. So okay, and so another quick idea, let me actually throw this in. Sorry, interrupting this video to bring you this announcement. You can use a little bit of foil, and this is just the deco foil that I have, and you can add it on here while your gesso is still tacky. Now this is not wet gesso, it's tacky, so that makes a huge difference in if this is going to stick or not. Now this is not going to be big chunks of foil that's going to adhere on here. It's just going to be little bits and pieces. So that's why I'm not really worried about how these are cut out, because when I pull them away, it's just going to leave behind little traces of foils. So I have some there, and then also have some down here on this bottom butterfly. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that. I'm going to probably pull this off camera, and if it doesn't work, what have you lost, right? It shouldn't pull up your napkin because your napkin should be pretty well sealed down. Let's just hope I'm telling you right. So anyway, I'm going to pull this up once this is dry and see if it leaves me behind some little flecks of foil. So I just thought I would throw that in there in case you want to add a little extra to your Bible journaling page. All right, now let's continue on with the video. I hope you enjoyed this little quick tip of how to add some art in your Bible journal. Again, you can use this for card making or scrapbooking or any other craft, but I just thought it would be neat to show you in the Bible journaling. So anyway, I will have pictures at the end, and let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.